Welcome back to the Raw and Real Conversations. We are still here talking to key industry players in the fashion industry, and I have a new set of beautiful key industry players that contribute to the fashion industry. So I would love to introduce to you to Lindy. Please let us know what is your role in the fashion industry and what you do.
I'm not really in the fashion industry, but I'm a consultant in the creative industries.
Yes.
Having been with government for 24 years, responsible for the creative industries, I'm now consulting, advising, and I'm concerned about governance in the creative industries. But I'm also, interested in the language and the lexicon of brands and the style and what is South African fashion.
Amazing.
And as part of the Fashion Forum group that is presenting the South African Fashion Industry Awards, I'm advising the brand. So I'm interested to just really know what is the lexicon of a South African fashion.
That is so important to have that. Ma'am Maggie, what is your role in the fashion industry?
I'm a seamstress for 27 years in same company. My role there I'm working with the leather. I know the difference of leather and the leatherite. I can make it, I do make jackets, trousers, anything that comes with leather.
Wow.
That's the only thing I know, and I also teach other school kids who do want to sew as I'm doing, because sewing is in my blood.
Wow, beautiful. Welcome, Bumi. Please let us know, what do you do?
So I'm the creative director behind the brand Ezoketo. We started in 2019 after graduating at Spiro Villiotti. Then I went on to Edcon, interned for them, did a program, freelanced, and then I decided to launch my own brand.
Welcome, Linky. So share with us what you do.
I'm a fashion consultant. I've been in fashion for 27 years. I work with different designers as a consultant to market their brands and to sell on a commission basis. That's how I'm surviving. That's what I
Amazing.
do for a living.
Amazing. So we've been talking to different industry key players, and I'm really, really excited to tap into your brains and unpack this topic, because we've been talking about the garments, the business of fashion, but you have like Mam Egi, who's a seamstress, and she is behind the scenes. You don't really see what she does, but your role is very, very important. Please let us know what does your job entail, and why have you been in this industry for 27 years?
Why I'm in that business, we started with small things like belts when we started that company. And then it grows and grows and grows. As it grows, I also told my boss that we must not focus on one thing. We must focus making so many things like bags, belts, and like ladies' dresses of leather, so that they can see what leather can make. That's why I like that, to work with skins, because I know the difference of skin. This is the cow skin, this is a sheep skin, this is a pig skin. That's why I like it. It's really in my blood. I like it very much to work with leather.
Yeah.
So am I correct to say, and I'm sure Mpumi, you would understand, am I correct to say that Sis
Maggie.
Maggie is part of the CMT
Yes.
in the value chain
Yes, in
of
the
the
value
fashion
chain of the-
industry, because I think the value chain of the fashion industry is really fascinating, and it's every chain is important for the brand. Am I correct?
Plays a key role.
It definitely does, play
does.
a key role. And maybe you share your journey in terms of graduating, starting your own brand. What was the process, as well as tapping into the value chain of the fashion industry?
So in terms of the value chain as a whole, how I sort of picked it up is that if I am to build a brand, I am to outsource a lot of things. So outsourcing to a CMT, outsourcing to a pattern maker, people who print, then I'm able to bring my designs to life, but in a way that is quicker, and we can respond to the market quite quicker, like keep up with the trends, keep up with the customer. So it sort of is a build-up of a lot of elements to it, and her sort of part is something that makes up the entire fashion industry.
Yes, that's so true. And Sis Lindy, from a strategy point of view, and when you consult and give advice to businesses, how important is a strategy when you are starting like a business like fashion? Maybe share insights of your expertise.
So the strategy, I mean, there's various strategies, because in the value chain there's CMT, there's the designer who conceptualize and develop and gives it to the cutter and gives it to so every aspect has got its own strategy, and I think, Linky, you would agree that there's also the marketing strategy, the sales strategy. So you have to look at it, overall. And I think it is the ecosystem that you have to look at a broader level when you have the vision of the whole ecosystem. It's also driven by the designer, whose vision wants to express and bring to life. So every aspect is critical, and you have to combine all these strategies and see if they bring life to the designer and what they had envisioned.
And I think we all can agree that, a dream and an idea needs a strategy, and a strategy needs implementation. But once you implement, how do you measure the performance of the work that you've been doing?
I normally do, because I'm more in the front line of the business. I taught myself to make a research, because mainly designers, they out there on the drawing board, they don't know what's going on between myself and the clients. So I made it my mission to be as unique as possible, to make sure that I take care of the client and communicate with the designer who doesn't know which one is a hot seller. They don't have a clue. How am I pushing the stuff? Why is this brand, why this range is slow? I need to find out. I made it my mission, like, to speak to my clients, because those are the foundation of our business.
Research is very important here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And Bumi, what are the struggles you've experienced, especially during the pandemic as a designer, in terms of getting your clothing brand out there from a marketing and strategy point of view?
So after the COVID situation, or during the COVID situation, it was about reassessing the market. How are they going to respond to fashion now? Is it just going to be sweatpants, or will we get to that place where we dress up again? So it was about sitting down and actually breaking down the business model to say this is what we need to implement in order for the business to stay afloat. For example, you need to have your basics. You know, basics are important. Make sure that the basics also speak back to the brand, but then the market is also excited about dressing up in a designer piece, or you know, things like that, because events during the COVID situation sort of slowed down, so everything just went quiet. So you were able to, it was very, very, the silence was very loud.
Yeah.
So you had to sit down and say, okay, this is the time where we need to look at how are we moving forward?
Yeah.
Even if post the pandemic, what if something else happens?
Yeah.
So that's basically it.
Yeah, you always have to adapt. Yeah.
Umpumi mentioned the, you know, sourcing out a whole lot of things, different elements, you know, sourcing them out. And one of the things that I think the fashion group, forum group,
yeah.
and the awards is going to do is to bring that cohesiveness in the industry, so that you don't have designers working on their own. There are certain things that, you know, can be shared services. For instance, you know, you can have Linky maybe, you know, serving, like she's serving 3, 4, 5 designers.
Yeah.
You can have Mrs. Maggie doing CMT for so many designers. And for me, that's just one of the concerns, especially with creative people, is working together inclusively and creating, you know, an ecosystem of the industry, so that it's not everybody doing little things. And that's how the retailers, because you won't really fight the big retailers.
That's very true. I think the common thread here is collaboration over competition.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree with you. With all the segments that we've been talking about collaboration, because everyone needs everyone, you know, to strengthen the industry. So just to wrap up the conversation, I know we can talk and talk and talk and talk, but I want to know from each of you guys, what is the future of fashion? And I would love for you guys to subject it to the industry that you are in. What is the future of fashion? Starting with Lindy.
So for me, it is really drawing from the past, you know, because every creative, every designer is inspired by the identity, especially South Africans, by the identity, their culture, their language, and their heritage. So if you look into the past to stimulate the present and really look into the future, and I think that's what also these awards are about. I think that's what the Fashion Forum Group is about, is to be inspired about our history and where we come from, and be present and stimulate the future.
I also think it's very important for us to be true to our culture as well, and tell our African stories through garments and fashion, etc. So I 100% agree with you. Yes.
If I may add to that,
Yes.
like the unity, we once had in fashion something called culture to couture. Culture to couture, it had like designers like Julian, Gavin Raja, the ones that I still remember.
Yes.
So the goal was to reach out to designers to say, look, we have, please use our beaders. Let's use African beads. It was funded. So that was a brilliant idea that I just wish that we can all work together. Find out from me as Linky, how are you doing in the front line? How do you, are you okay? Are you aware about your brand? How are you okay about, are you happy manufacturing? Let's know about the designer, what they go through. Their tantrums and whatever. So unity, in a nutshell, I say let's all work together, like you say, culture, like culture to couture.
Yeah, certainly. And then, Mam Maggie, I posed the question, what is the future of fashion? And I specifically want to hear from you because I know from my own experiences, my gran was a seamstress, and now when I think about it, you really always associate seamstresses with like an older kind of market because, you guys are really passionate about it, and more of the designers as the younger market. So do you have, do you think that there's a generation waiting to fill your role as well?
I think so. As I see the younger generations that I'm working with now, because I'm getting old, and I don't want this legacy of mine to die. There must be someone, if I left this world, so that I know he is gonna leave this legacy of mine. As I like culture, because I'm from a Khoi family who use this skin. That's why it comes in to be in love with the skin. And then now I'm starting my own thing. Never mind, I'm still working on the other side. I'm designing bags, whatever it takes to work with the skin. Now I take all these school kids that they like to sew, to teach them how to sew, because you can sew. The only thing that makes the skin to be beautiful is the stitch.
The finishing.
The finishing must be perfect, and the stitch must be straight.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. And what is the future of fashion?
Looking at fashion,
Yeah.
I think from the point where we're at now, looking forward, is I think the world is responding quite nicely to African fashion. Excuse me. So in so saying, we're moving into a digital era, but at the same time, people are responding to our cultures, our stories, our heritage. So we're no longer looking at the Western trend forecasting. We're looking at ourselves, we're looking inward, we're looking at our mothers, we're looking at our grandmothers, and we are bringing those stories to life. And that is very exciting to see that actually, looking back, our history is quite rich. So everything is just coming together nicely. When you look at the Western and how they respond to African fashion, you could see it by how South African designers are succeeding that side. And I feel like because our industry was so new, started around 1980s, we didn't really see that we've got a rich heritage,
Yes,
culture. But now it's coming to light and it's coming to life, and people are excited. And even schools, for instance, they need to start teaching history, African history, as opposed to Western history, because we also had fashion. We also had people working with hands, as Umama said, the beading, the embroidery, everything is just so rich and vast that we can never run out. And I feel like the future is really exciting.
The future is bright.
If I may add something on you. Oh, Mama, what you said about the old-fashioned way you want to leave a legacy with people who want to sew. In my world, people think that when you are a designer, it's all about doing the finale, and it's hard work. He knows how hardworking, because I understand it's not like sewing, because most in my world, they don't want to sew. They think that you work behind the scene and do the finale, take the
More to
flowers and
that.
champagne. And I still want to put that message through, that it's not like
Beyond
that.
the glitz and glam.
It's not, this is this is a calling, it's not glamorous at all.
Yeah.
You must listen to them behind closed doors while they hoy their tantrums. And when I first started, it was, but we have to know that it's not as glamorous. One day we'll discuss that behind closed doors, that
Yes.
how many years.
The inspiration, I mean, Pima was mentioning, from Africa style Miriam Makeba to Brenda Fassie's puff, sensual, rough style, to Wandi's Lokshin culture, to Makosa,
Yeah, we really
to
have
Drip,
amazing
to Batu,
designers.
and we really are culturally inspired.
We are.
And and by also socio-economic environment that people grow in. The fashion industry, the South African fashion industry's strength is so entrepreneurial, and the expressiveness of the authentic of who we are is very exciting.
Yeah, I agree with all of you guys, and I must say that what I took away from the conversation is staying true to who we are, being authentic, working hard, understanding that this is a business, it's not the glitz and the glam, and there's so much more to fashion than just the end result and the end garment. With that being said, we have come to the end of this segment. Thank you so much for watching.